A major turning point in Little Town on the Prairie occurs midway through the novel, when Mary goes to college. In a very moving scene between Laura and Mary, their last walk across the prairie together, Laura chokes up, fearful for a life ahead without Mary, and fearful too for Mary herself. She says, "I hope you will like college, Mary." "Oh, I will. Think of being able to study and learn, everything, even to play the organ." The real Mary Ingalls enrolled in the College for the Blind in Vinton, Iowa on November 23, 1881. She was 16. Originally established as the Asylum for the Blind in 1852, its original home was Iowa City, but moved to Vinton, Iowa 20 years later and took on its new name, the College for the Blind. It served students living in Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Dakota Territory, and focused on academics, music, and vocational training. The school is now part of Iowa Educational Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired. In a draft of Pioneer Girl, heavily edited after Wilder's and Lane's deaths by Wilder scholar William Anderson and Lane's literary executor Roger McBride, the text maintains that the College for the Blind was intended only for Iowans, but because Dakota Territory still had no place where the blind could be educated, the territory would pay tuition to the state of Iowa if we would help out on the fees, the board, the books, supplies, and of course, fit out Mary with clothes. This manuscript also reveals that the Ingalls family received government assistance to send Mary to college, a point Wilder excluded from her original Pioneer Girl manuscript and from the Little House series. Mary's departure for college is a major turning point for both girls. As Wilder writes in Little Town on the Prairie, then suddenly they felt as if she were going away forever. The years ahead of them were empty and frightening. For Laura, it's not simply that she'll miss her sister's company and that Mary's college experience will forever change her and their relationship. It's also that Laura herself will have to shoulder part of the responsibility for Mary's college expenses. Laura will have to become a school teacher, once and for all. In this same scene, Laura promises to teach school as soon as she can. "I wish you didn't have to," Mary said. "Well, I have to," Laura replied, "but I can't till I'm 16. That's the law. A teacher has to be 16 years old." This simple conversational exchange introduces yet another major plot point in the novel, that according to law, school teachers have to be 16 years old. And it's this plot point that leads to the climax of Little Town on the Prairie. In December 1882, when the fictional Laura Ingalls is not yet 16, she receives an offer to teach school at the Brewster School, 12 miles south of DeSmet. "Lou Brewster here is looking for a teacher for the new school they are starting in their district. He came into the school exhibition last night. He figures that Laura's the teacher they want, and I tell him he can't do better." Laura's heart seemed to leap and fall back and go on falling. "I'm not old enough yet," she said. "Now, Laura," Mr. Bose said to her earnestly, "there's no need to tell your age unless someone asks you. The question is, will you teach this school if the county superintendent gives you a certificate?" From the moment Wilder began to envision the story for this book, she felt Laura's age at this point in the series was significant. As she wrote Lane in 1938, when the two of them were working through the chronology of the fictional family's experiences in Dakota Territory, she wrote, "I would be 14 the hard winter and 15 the next winter. That was the winter I began teaching at Bucci's in December, 2 months before I was 16 years old." She went on to say, "I think Laura's age is important. It shows how few teachers there were, how glad the people were to find someone to teach their little schools." Yet the historical record doesn't correspond to Wilder's memories. First, the law as it regarded teaching certificates in Dakota Territory. In 1883, Dakota Territory formalized a new set of policies for public schools, and it required country school superintendents to hold public examinations of all persons over the age of 18 years, offering themselves as candidates for teachers of common public schools. The age requirement was 18, a statute enacted in 1883 when Wilder herself was already 16. In 1882, while both the real and fictional Laura Ingalls were 15, there wasn't an age restriction on teachers in Dakota Territory. Furthermore, Wilder's original teacher certificate, signed by George A. Williams, as is the fictional one, is dated December 10th, 1883, when Wilder was 16. A surviving notice from the DeSmet Leader appears to confirm the idea that Wilder was first authorized to teach in 1883 at the age of 16. School teachers are very numerous, and the county superintendent finds a grist of them on hand for examination every day. Did Wilder deliberately change the facts of her life to tell a better story, as she frequently did when writing this series, or was she genuinely confused about her age? It's one of those literary mysteries that will probably remain unresolved. Wilder's letters, a column in the Missouri Ruralist, as well as her recollection about her first teaching experiences in Pioneer Girl, are contradictory. Still, it is important to note that despite the discrepancy in age, whether she was 15 or 16 when she started teaching, the circumstances Wilder remembered about her first teaching experiences were largely accurate. She was an underage school teacher for most of her teaching career, and the county school superintendent was in violation of Dakota Territory public education policy when he granted Wilder's teaching certificate. All school officers are prohibited from making contracts employing persons to teach not known to them as qualified, and all such contracts made with those not so qualified shall be null and void. But I will add this. Wilder was so convinced that her fictional counterpart should be 15 in Little Town on the Prairie that she even dates Laura's fictional teacher certificate. That date is a detail at odds with the usual historical timelessness of Wilder's fiction. Laura's teacher certificate appears at the end of the book with the date 24 December 1882. Wilder also tweaked Laura's test scores on the fictional certificate. She improved Laura's history score from 69 on the original to 98 on the fictional version, and her geography score from 80 to 85. Wilder substituted history for geography in the list of categories in which Laura was qualified to teach, perhaps to further emphasize her outstanding performance at the school exhibition in Little Town on the Prairie. And as we'll see in the next lecture, Wilder changed the name of her first school and the family she boarded with. When the novel ends, Pa congratulates Laura on this accomplishment, but his voice has a hollow sound because now Laura was going away. Still, as her mentor, he gives her one last boost and has the last word in the novel. "Oh, Pa, do you think I can teach school?" "I do, Laura," said Pa. "I am sure of it." And so Laura's next and perhaps biggest adventure in the series is about to begin.